Hello lads, lassies, and those of unspecified gender, it's the Irishman here, and today we're going to be talking about what would have happened if Goku was the reincarnation of the dragon god Zalama, otherwise known as the creator of the Super Dragon Balls. Now, this what if will somewhat derive from a fanfiction-like topic, as I will have to create my own lore for Zalama, as well as using fan recommendations, as this was very much a recommended topic by one of my subscribers. By the way, if you have a what if idea and want to have it be made into a video, then comment it down below. If it sounds interesting enough and I think I can make a story out of it, then there is a large chance that it will be picked. Look at this video for example, as, again, this was a fan idea, not my own, and major shout out to that guy. I can't for the life of me remember his username and don't know if he'd even want a shout out, but if he comments on this video, I'll make sure to pin it, as a thank you for the idea. But without padding out this intro any longer, let's get into the story of this what if. Millions of years ago, there were only three beings. The angel known as the Daishinken or Grand Priest, Zeno, who was a being of pure omnipotent ki, and Zalama, a being that was born with incredible magical prowess, ability to shape the universe as we know it, although he focused his power through the Super Dragon Balls, orbs that were capable of doing anything. The Grand Priest had used the orbs to formulate the universe as we know it, and Zeno would use his omnipotent power to erase anything he deemed unworthy of existing. Zalama would continue to watch over the orbs as well as keep balance throughout the universe with the aid of Daishinken. A millennia would pass, and Zalama would realize that without conflict, evolution can never come. Without a problem to be solved, there is no solution. No one will ever get better if they all stay the same, and there's no conflict to push them forward. So he separates himself into two halves. A good half being a pure and holy being, while the other half is demonic and corrupt. The corrupt half of Zalama would go around infecting the universe with, well, basically just pure evil, while the good half would attempt to enlighten those who were corrupted. And this would end up creating multiple different races, all with their own beliefs. Frost demons who are evil, Saiyans who are kind of in a gray area because they're just natural beings. People like the Earthlings who can be inherently good but can also be corrupted, one that both halves of Zalama would have interacted with, among others from other universes, but those three were just examples. Realizing that if the dark Zalama continues to go around the multiverse, it will be chaotic and evil for all of eternity, the good Zalama decides to stop trying to counter him and just defeat him. So the two would get into a battle, one that lasts eons, although eventually good is able to persevere, similar to Kami and King Piccolo. Kami would have been able to beat King Piccolo if he had been active and not just sitting on the lookout the whole time, and the same sort of thing happens with Zalama here, except Zalama, of course, is active, and thus the darker half would be sealed away, although its impact is still seen throughout the multiverse, as evil can uproot itself in any environment. It doesn't matter whether or not the good Zalama goes around purifying people, as the evil will always remain a footprint in the universe's history, never to be erased. Although the Grand Priest and Zeno would be unaffected by the cycle of morality. They are above that and were on the same playing field as the original Zalama, although they do still see the benefits and drawbacks of morality, and thus decide to keep it around, although implement a system that would allow to get the most out of this morality cycle, creating angels that will guide gods of destruction who will be picked from select mortals, and thus the gods and the angels will run that universe, although to keep the gods in check, not just being guided by the angels, they would have limitations that were set by the Grand Priest and Zeno. Not just rules, but there are rules, instead supreme Kais, beings that will tether these gods to their morality, and keep them in line. Everything runs like clockwork, even if the destroyers were able to find a way around the whole Kai thing, by certain gods sealing away their Kaioshin, meaning that they were practically unkillable by any normal means. Although if they ever did step out of line, Zeno could always erase them like that. Same with the original 6 universes outside of our known 12. Yes, Zeno did erase 6 universes before the beginning of the series, and it was over Beerus winning, or cheating, in a game of hide-and-seek, which Zeno didn't particularly like, and yeah, killed literal trillions because of it, but that's off topic. The point is that the gods were able to run their universes pretty well, and everything was going swimmingly. Everything in the 12 known universes is running perfectly. That is, until the final meeting between the Grand Priest and the Dragon God. To do some world building, the Grand Priest had always been cautious around his fellow 2 primordial beings, seeing as Zeno and Zalama were respectively the forces of destruction and creation, and the Grand Priest was merely the balance between the two. What happens if Zeno decides that he wants to erase the Grand Priest? He gets erased. And if Zalama chooses to seal him away, then he's sealed away. He has no way to defend against this, even with his incredible power and mastered Ultra Instinct. It merely doesn't matter, as either one of these 2 unstoppable forces could bypass any of Daishinkan's abilities. That was until Zalama had split himself in 2. Now, the only person that the Grand Priest had to worry about was Zeno, and, well, the young child of a god was already wrapped around Daishinkan's finger. So, now, the only person he had to worry about was Zalama, or at least, he had to worry about him if the 2 halves of the Dragon God ever came back together. And so, to ensure that the 2 halves never come back together, and Zalama is never a threat to him, the Grand Priest borrows some energy from Zeno, saying he'll be back in a moment, but there's a matter he needs to take care of. And of course, Zeno wouldn't care either way, allowing for the energy to be taken, and then allowing for the Grand Priest to leave. He was bothersome anyway. Then, after departing, the Grand Priest teleports to Zalama's realm, utilizing the power he had taken from Zeno to completely eradicate the Dragon God. Now don't think this is the end of our story, as the good half of Zalama would still remain, but not in the sense you might think, as he was still killed by that erasing attack, but his spirit was still left alive, as not even a fellow primordial being can erase the spirit of the Dragon God. So he continues to wander the universes, trying to find somebody compatible with his soul, while the other half of this being is released from his seal and let to do the same, and the 2 spirits eventually find their avatars in the form of Goku and Frieza. And that's where we'll be leaving things for today. I hope you enjoyed watching this, as I certainly enjoyed making it, and I know we didn't cover Dragon Ball, Z, or Super, but that's because Zalama technically isn't a character in Dragon Ball yet, so there's a lot I had to make up on my own. More than I expected, which is why we get a part 0 to this story rather than just going right into part 1. But nonetheless, I hope you all enjoyed, and had a absolutely marvelous New Year's. And I wish you all a very wonderful 2024, and before we go, this is, always has been, and always will be the Irishman. Talk to you later. Bye.